Welcome everyone to Star Trek, our ongoing review and watch along of the episodes of Star Trek. This week we have been going through the very magnanimous episode of Enterprise, Breaking the Ice, where we're very little about breaking physical ice and more about the boundaries between humans and Vulcans and whether it's appropriate to read other people's mail even if they've read the mailbox. Go on, Frank.
I just realized it was a metaphor. That makes so much sense.
Yeah, you see.
Wow.
They didn't explain it very well, so that's why I had to break the boundaries here. Joining me, we
I
have
wasn't
Cranky.
actually watching.
Yes, we have Cranky, we have Shy, we have Frank, we have Genos. Gentlemen, your early thoughts on opening thoughts on this episode before we go into the real details. Was this the scintillating episode of Star Trek Enterprise that you really expected from something that's pushing the boundaries of the final frontier, or was it just a lot of people talking about T'Pol's relationships?
I think it was a good, fun episode with some deep undertones.
How deep?
How deep is your undertones?
And then another 9 meters.
Yeah, another 9 meters on top.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a little bit deep with the whole the reading the private messages thing, the arranged marriage storyline that has just been started, and then there's the relationship with the Vulcans, which is not particularly deep, but it kind of, I don't know. It's a fun episode though. There's a lot of giggles.
It was definitely played off as a little bit more of a comedic. It was half and half. It sort of straddles the line. It had that problem that Unexpected had, where it's like trying to go for laughs one moment and then Archer just getting really annoyed the next, and you don't quite know where the focus is with the episode. How about you? How about you, Shy? How did you find this episode?
I mean, it's tough because this episode's 2, maybe 3 years after Armageddon and Deep Impact. It's coming on the heels of 2 asteroid movies coming out of Hollywood, and the production value in this episode is not great. I mean, obviously their budgets are limited nowadays. They would fly to Iceland and shoot this all in ice caves, and
which they did for Discovery terrains. I think it's like one of the
That's what I meant. That's what I was comparing it to. But obviously, the Discovery budgets are astronomical compared to these Enterprise budgets. But yeah, to echo what everyone is saying, the interpersonal stuff's good. The development of the T'Pol character is good. As I mentioned during the watch log, it was a little jarring to see her eyebrows next to the Vulcan captain's eyebrows at the dinner scene. You really realize that they were having some incongruity of a makeup there. But yeah, you get a famous audio clip out of it. The poop question.
Yeah.
Clip. I think Bakula does some decent acting here. I don't like the way he throws Trip under the bus with the decryption thing.
Yeah, you're probably.
He's like, well, that's a big problem for you there, Trip. Good luck with that. But yeah, it's an okay episode. It's nothing super happens.
How about you, Frank?
Not only a Vulcan captain with varying eyeballs, but that Vulcan captain looked like he had a severe case of jaundice and he needs a liver transplant yesterday. Dude was green. I have, believe it or not, I have, jokes aside, a vivid memory of this because Enterprise had just premiered 2 months earlier. And I had a group of friends in town that we would get together and watch Enterprise. It came on Wednesday for us every Wednesday night because it was like new Star Trek. Hell yeah, it was great. This was like the 8th episode or something of season 1. So we're still fleshing out all the characters. We're still figuring out who's who and figuring out we're on a submarine of a spaceship that is no more technologically advanced than what we have in present day. Their chairs are computer chairs you could go buy at the store. But you're still trying to get the hang of everything. Like Shai said, 2 years too late to the Armageddon Deep Impact stuff. Deep Impact, better movie, by the way. Hot take. For early Enterprise, it's not it's just slow because everybody has to get a story beat. Everybody gets a line. Everybody gets a job to do, so you can learn. Oh, that's the engineer. He does poop questions. Oh, that's the xenolinguistics person. There we go. The translator, she reads other people's mail. Okay, no, she doesn't. She has morals. We like her. Okay. This guy likes pecan pie. That, by the way, their replicators make really bad pecan pie, or the chef does. It's just, it's kind of slow. Didn't feel a whole lot like Star Trek. It felt like the whatever episode of whatever show on TV at the time, but half on an asteroid and half in dining quarters and in somebody's office having conversations of a personal nature, reading each other's mail. Like,
an office with very low beams.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Yeah, why have that low beam in your ready room? And he just kept walking past it and ducking and walking past and ducking. It's like, just stand still.
Yeah.
Don't have to pace. It's fine.
Yeah, my first thought when she said that she was going to marry an architect, I was like, well, that's perfect. Because clearly the ship needs a massive remodel.
Yes, what do we need an architect on this ship? Like, have you not seen...
And we all know that Vulcans design great ships.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, Otto.
How about you, Janos? How did you find the episode?
I mean, I enjoyed it. You know, I had a good time watching it. I think that, you know, they did the good writing where there was two distinct storylines that ended up converging in the end, and it brought everyone together to solve the problem. So, you know, from that perspective, it's good, and you know, everyone had something to do. You know, everyone kind of highlighted what their character is supposed to do, and then we had a little bit of relationship building between Trip and T'Pol, and Archer gets out of his own way after being hammered over the head by T'Pol and Trip. But yeah, otherwise he just gets irritated, and you know, progressively more irritated as time goes on. It's like the levels of Archer irritation, it fluctuated. It went up throughout the whole episode.
Just pissing Archer off. If you ever want to do it, just be very curt and just say it, answers in single sentences, and that just really winds him up. Apparently, just like to the point where he's about to throw fists.
And then he kicks him out of the dining room.
Yeah. Wow. Look at the
well, where did the time go?
Literally saying, "Where did the time go?" Yeah.
I had fun.
Do you know what the thing that was going through my head is just like, I'm waiting for something to happen in this episode. Like, I'm waiting for like the big hook, and I know the big hook was supposed to be, oh, the asteroid's in trouble, and then the shuttle pod falls into the asteroid, despite, as Shai pointed out in a watch along, where's the gravity on this asteroid being generated from? That is incredibly. How does a guy break his leg and also wreck a shuttle? But it felt like both of these plots were B and C plots to service an A plot. It didn't feel like there was. There was development. It kind of is the definition of a filler episode in a way that sort of sets up a lot of other things. But it's weird because when you're watching it live, which I remember doing, I remember thinking like, this episode does nothing. Like, what's going on? And where's like, you know, even episodes before, like Strange New Worlds, the episode, not the series, or even Unexpected, had like consequences and plots and like sense of tension. We kind of didn't have any of the tension until like right at the end, where obviously the shuttle falls in the hole and Archer has to, you know, bite his lip and go, "Can I have some help, please?" And I suppose that was the point of the episode, but I don't know if they necessarily...
The A plot is basically the relationship between the Vulcans and humans, isn't it?
Yeah, and I felt they did that much better in the Andorian incident, and later on the Shadows of Jem, and like other episodes to show, because we've had a lot of them talking about Archer and the Vulcans, you know, being at odds and the Vulcans being overbearing, and I feel like we've had like a lot of that. And it also gets served a little bit better when you see the contrast with Valar, who comes along later and comes onto the ship being this very eccentric out towards Vulcan. I don't know, I felt it was played for gags, and I felt it didn't add a lot to it.
Though I thought the actor portraying the Vulcan captain actually understood his assignment and was delivering pretty well. It's just that, as you say, this episode doesn't have a lot of action either. Physical action or
It's not them asking
political
for multiple
or
action.
emotional action.
Yeah, it's just it just felt like very like a day in the life of our cultural mishaps. You know,
There was an explosion, at least.
there was, yes. Did you know that this episode got nominated for its visual effects? It got nominated for an Emmy.
No.
Wow.
Do you know what beat it?
What was going?
Broken Bow.
Episode of
The
Sesame
start,
Street?
the pilot episode.
You're kidding.
The effects in Broken Bow are fine, actually, if I recall.
Broken Bow is where we see Phlox with his fancy smile that cost a fortune, so they never did it again.
Yeah. Oh no, they did it in actually the episode we watched the other week with Abby Sommer in Stigma. They did it.
I think they did it once or twice after the original time they did it because it cost. I think was it $10,000 for that one smile.
And you can just do that with Smudge Tool in Photoshop now.
Yeah.
But so this episode was written by Maria Jacometon and Andre Jacometon, I assume husband and wife, who only wrote 2 other episodes of Enterprise, specifically. One of them was Dear Doctor, and the other was Acquisition, the Ferengis incursion into episode. This is also directed by Terry Windell, who is a recurring director on Voyager. He did like Shattered, Dark Frontier, and Natural Law. Other fun fact about this episode: this is the first episode of Enterprise in the run that was not written by Berman or Braga, yet somehow managed to still feel like an episode of Berman and Braga's writing. I don't know if they had very tight control on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, usually how the writer's room works is, it's a writer's room, and even though their names weren't on it, I'm sure that they were heavily involved.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go over to our best and worst moments. So
the best advice I can give you is to just be yourself.
You're the worst thing that ever happened to Zek. You're the worst thing that ever happened to me.
Actually, that's the second best piece of advice.
In fact, you're the worst thing that ever happened to the entire Ferengi Alliance.
No.
Just stop saying that.
Fun fact, Otto didn't want me to use that, but so I am. He sent it to me. He made that clip and sent it over to me. He's like, actually, I don't know if I want to use that. I'm like, no, it's brilliant. You have to have the ROM. No. Let's go over to our best and worst moments. Let's go reverse order. Genos, what are your best and worst moments? I'm kind of throwing you the easy bone there because you could easily just, there's many good moments I think other people are going to pick. So, yeah, feel free.
I might go off the beaten path a little bit, and mostly because this is one of my favorite desserts, and because I lived in Texas for the better part of a decade, that pecan pie looked like crap. I definitely would. Yeah, my mother-in-law would be very, very disappointed in that, and so would I. So it's cool, though, that it kind of signifies, T'Pol's openness to, building a relationship with humanity and, building her relationship with Trip. So that's also my best moment, is the pecan pie symbolism.
Gone pecan pie for best and worst.
Yes. Or you can say pecan if, you're an unwashed.
What are we saying?
If you speak properly, yeah.
Is it pecan? Is that how we say it? I don't know. Do you know what? I talk to Americans and English people like in equal measure, and my lexicon is thrown all over the place. It's ridiculous.
Pecan pie.
Pecan pie. Yeah, lovely.
Pecan pie? Yeah. Pecan pie for both.
That's true. I do like pecan pie. That's very nice. Frank, best and worst.
So let's go.
You can't say the theme song.
I'm not. I'm going to be objective here. I'm going to pick stuff that I don't think anybody else will pick. Worse, I'm going to go with the idea, because again, remember, this is the 8th episode of a brand new series where these are the first explorers and these alliances are just forming, and you're supposed to feel like it's more in current time than it is in the offset future of the other Star Treks. So things make sense. But then if you sit and break it down, even in 2001, and insult your intelligence, how they got subspace mail and why they're only talking to a single 4th grade class instead of addressing, because they are the flagship of the Starfleet of the Federation. I mean, why just talk to, like, they should be having like Zoom calls with everyone on Earth weekly to be like, hey, check out this cool stuff we just saw. You know, like, and I get the idea of the moment, but just the writing not great there. Best, I'm going to score the underlying tones of Vulcans and humans growing relationships, even if it didn't seem so, with a truly well-played Vulcan captain, to Shai's point, that he's willing to offer the tractor beam, help everybody out. We're not spying. We're just making sure that you don't kill yourself because you're human and you suck.
It's like talking to my children. Like,
yeah, I know.
I know. You keep saying, I can do this. I'm sure you can, but you're going to do it wrong.
And it was also, to add to Genos' point, it was very appropriate that pecan pie looked like crap, considering it was made from reclamated crap.
The sanitation engine was down that day. Shai, how about you? Best and worst?
I think the worst moment for me is just the whole comet geography, set design, gravity, physics of it. The idea that they didn't think that setting off an explosion on the side of the comet might somehow alter the trajectory of the comet.
Yeah.
Like basic rocket science, you know. Yeah, it was a lot of spray foam insulation, a lot of carving of
a lot of asbestos.
Yeah, it wasn't my favorite bit of Star Trek set design. My favorite moment, actually, I think, quietly, Phlox and Sato do some really good acting work, like during the question and answer scene. Like, she's really good there. Like, that's actually the calmest you see Sato in season 1, when she's not fretting about her insecurities about being in space and
Hoshi Sato. You got to say it like that.
Yeah.
Sato.
Hoshi Sato.
Leviosa, not Leviosa.
Yeah, exactly. Billy Phlox is great in both his scene with DePaul in the sickbay and on that bridge scene describing germs. As I think Cranky mentioned, he has the far more interesting answer, and yet they cut him off and let Trip go on and on about his poop question.
A poop question, sir?
There it is. Thank you. Thank you. That's some good audio producing right there, folks. But yeah, you know, not a lot happens, but it's okay.
Cranky, best and worst.
See, I remember the grappler part being better than it was, so I wanted that to be my best, but it wasn't.
Top 10 grappler moments.
Best...
That's a breakout video.
Yeah. Not including Groppler Zorn.
Yes, top 10 grappler moments. That's a whole different thing.
No, I think my best moment is probably it's the way they sort of depict humans on, like, you've got Mayweather and Reed on the surface being humans, you know, making snowmen and having a little joke, and they make a very clear definition between the humans and the Vulcans. Vulcans are very uptight in this episode. They're very don't care, not interested. We're just here to help you because we know you're going to fuck up. Whereas the humans, like, yeah, fuck it, we're here. We're on a snow planet. Let's have a snowball fight. Let's make a snowman. And Mayweather and Reed are basically on a date. They just act like they're on a little date. We should get out more.
Yeah. No, take me out as much as you used to.
Worst moment. I don't know if I can't think of a particular worst moment. Most of the bad moments have been mentioned. I'd say the ship design. Archer having to duck his head maybe with the beams constantly as he moves through.
I'm going to be looking out for that every time he paces around his ready room, because I've never noticed that before. I don't know why.
He does it quite a lot. He actually puts his hand on it quite a lot and leans on it. I've noticed. I've watched Enterprise more than once.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's about all I can think of.
Go on my best moment. My best moment is the Vulcan ship. That is a lovely design. I think it's the first time you actually see a full Vulcan ship. Like, it is the Shikar,
the Sarok class.
The Sarok class. That's it. Yeah. It's such a nice design. I have one on a shelf somewhere up there, one of the Eagle Moss ones. It takes the ring ship idea a bit further, because the ring ship was originally a design for the Enterprise, back the XCV 30 or something like that. It was originally going to be ring ship with a little pole through the middle. So it's nice that they reused that for the Vulcan art as well. So, Matt Jeffries, I believe, was involved in that, the original Enterprise designer. So nice to see that legacy being carried forward into the thing. Worst moment? I might have to go with, how did they send space art out to the Enterprise quicker than everything? And okay, they might have printed it out after a digital transmission, but why would you? And they actually very much looked like that was the original crayon drawings, unless they went home, picked them up, and then went back out again. It was very confusing.
Is there any chance that they colored it with crayons?
Maybe.
Well, they got a picture of it on the screen and then drew it by hand in crayon from looking at the image on the screen.
I never got the sense that they were flying in like a straight line directly away from Earth. I mean, they are.
Yeah, it does, but you do get that line that's like, we're being recalled back to Earth. Like, I think that happened in a couple of episodes we watched previously. It makes it kind of sound like they're flying the final frontier, and they're going out where pretty much everyone else in the galaxy is gone.
There's so much unexplored territory. They could be going in like a slow spiral out from Earth, and there are like supply ships that meet them along the way.
Turns out they've just been orbiting Pluto for like 3 seasons.
Right.
No, I still think that the fourth graders scan them to PDF files.
Okay.
They sent them through an encrypted transmission, and then they got printed on Enterprise.
An encrypted transmission.
Matrix printers.
Yes.
Yes, definitely encrypted.
No, here's my theory.
Maybe a zip file.
They'd send out a plea to say, hey, any children want to send us some stuff? No one did, so Trip went downstairs and drew them all himself. And they went, look what these children did, look! That one looks like an alien.
It's not early Vulcan.
There's actually a mailroom clerk position on the Enterprise that you never meet, and that's his job. It's like he gets these digital PDFs and he has to take crayons. He has to actually draw it and do it all and be like...
It's there all day, painstakingly recreating them.
Yeah, these children are actually immensely talented, but he's not.
Yes.
They've sent works of art and he's destroyed them.
What we got left on the ship? It's just crayons. That's all we got. You not got any oil paints? Where's your watercolors? No, just got crayons.
The Enterprise mailroom. I want to see that in one episode.
That'll be coming soon to a Star Trek Adventures session near you.
Oh, that's not a bad idea.
Bob, the Enterprise mailroom attendant.
No, at the moment it's Dave. Dave is the current recurring character in all things.
Currently using
Dave.
That's Big Dave in the mailroom.
Big Dave. I just imagine someone like 6 foot tall, massive belly. That's Big Dave. Okay.
He's also got to be like ridiculously high ranking. He's got to be a commander that just keeps getting passed over. He fails the command class, and he's like always passed up for captain, and so he's just like the mailroom guy. But he's the third highest ranking person on the ship
with all the mail.
Yeah. One time he gets the command pitch and like, you take the bridge. He's like, I don't know how this works. How do you post stuff here? Where's your sorting algorithms?
I've got mail to sort. What can't be doing with this?
I've got several encrypted letters to read.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was the one thing I was going to get through. Is like, how do you feel about the whole like Archer just going, we'll decrypt it. It's a personal message. Let's just go through. I mean, I know he was kind of going through his massive conspiracy. Vulcans are are secretly Illuminati spies for an otherworldly cult, but he was definitely just like, oh, personal message to T'Pol from the Vulcans, must be suspicious, decrypt it. And then throws Trip under the bus. How do we feel about that?
Never trusted Vulcans. I'll never forgive them for what they did to my son.
Yeah, it's definitely weird. It's definitely you'd in that situation. I think any normal person would first approach T'Pol or the Vulcans, and it depends which way which way it's gone, and say, look, there's an encrypted message. What's the deal? Is it something very personal? Is it something I need to be worried about?
We know that the writers of Enterprise do have a problem with consent because it's come up several times and it's not even funny. It's an oddly weird thing. Okay, let's go over to our
I can show you my rating code.
Schiller rating 3.5. Associational rating norm -3. That's much too low a rating.
I'm just not accustomed to seeing an unsatisfactory rating on a member of my crew.
It's rating time. It's that wonderful time of the night where I get to put magic numbers into my spreadsheet and come up with a conclusive scientific formula for how good this episode is. So let's start. Let's go random. Frank, let's start with you. We need a rating criteria for this. I kind of have one already, but I don't know if anyone else has a criteria at the top of their tongue that they really want to get out. Because since Stars isn't here, but
moody teenage Vulcans out of 10.
Yeah, that's a good one.
You could also do how many slices of poopy pecan pie or pecan pie.
I like that one.
How many poop questions out of 10? Yeah.
Any Vulcan Captain Dicks? Vulcan Dick Captains?
How dickish?
No.
Captains? Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, dickish. I don't know.
I can't say it. Yeah,
Charles,
I'm fine with either of those.
I like the poopy pecan pie, so I think we'll go with that. How many slices of poopy pecan pie would you give this episode? Frank, let's start with you.
Wait, what are our pre-ratings? You got to bring those back.
Oh,
right?
I didn't write them down. I tend not to. I think we're all about 5s and 4s, weren't we? So
mine was 6.
I said 3 pre-rating because legitimately it's been a long time since I've rewatched Enterprise and forced myself to rewatch this. But no, that's not true, because when some of these cards came to the mobile game Star Trek Timelines, available on mobile devices and computers near you, download today. I rewatched the episode because I was like, Snowman, what? And I remembered. If 5 is just a perfectly middle of the road, hey, it's a Star Trek episode, I'm glad to waste 42 minutes watching this. Maybe some character development happens for one person, but it has no bearing whatsoever on the entirety of the series. It's just a filler episode. And like 7 or 8 is like really good stuff, and 1 or 2 is, Voyager or Enterprise or what have you. Season 1 TNG. I'm going to bump up my pre-rating. I'm not going to quite give this a 5. I'm going to give this like a 4.8. Slices of poopy pecan pie. It was early Enterprise. They were fleshing everybody out. So the plot is basically, hey, we accidentally read somebody's mail because we are xenophobic and we don't trust the aliens that we're in an alliance with, and this first officer of the ship. Even though if you watch Star Trek, you know that that's the first officer of many ships, and they're fine. But we have to tell you why we didn't get along with them at first. Beyond that,
is she the first officer at this point? I thought it was
think
Chris,
she
was Chris
is.
not the first.
Yeah,
I think she
is
does have
always
seniority.
Yeah. Okay.
4.8. Okay, Genos, let's go with you. What would you give this? How many slices of pecan pie?
Yeah, so I think I pre-rated a 5.5. I'm gonna bump it up to 5.9.
Ooh. Just edging that 6. You can't quite. What's stopping it becoming a 6 for you?
The poopy pecan pie itself. Yeah, I mean, we definitely got some through lines that are going to continue for the rest of the show, and they really kind of started here, where T'Pol's willing to confide in Trip, and Archer is willing to see past his prejudice of Vulcans a little bit. Vulcans that aren't T'Pol and Vulcans that aren't Saval. All the Ols. So 5.9. I can't quite get to 6 because, I'm not afraid of decimals.
Decimals don't scare me. Shy, how about you? Are you scared of decimals, or are you going to keep straight to the line, as you have done for pretty much every episode apart from one?
Really? Which was the one that I...
You gave Charlie X a 2.4.
Are you sure? I
have it written here. I'm
going to have to go back and rewatch that episode. It doesn't seem like I care enough about that episode to break into decimal points. No, I'm going to stay at 5. I think my pre-rating was pretty much exactly where this episode lies. Yeah. It's just there.
It is. An Enterprise episode that merely exists.
It is, yeah.
It is, therefore it is in the canon. Okay, go on, Craig.
I hope at some point Lower Decks in its final season or some other show has a scene where they're climbing some sort of rock face or mountain, and they get to the top and they're like, well, everything's fine, and then they just move on. Like nothing eventful happens during the climb.
No, they need a Mayweather redemption arc. He needs to rescue someone and be the hero on some kind of a mountaineering trip, rather than the victim.
Yes. Go on then, Cranky. What's your score for this episode?
Well, my pre-score was 6. I'm going to slightly downgrade.
Ooh.
This is, as has been said by several of my contemporaries, a very run-of-the-mill, standard Star Trek episode. It's not amazing, it's not bad, it's got good and bad points. I'm going to go for a 5.5.
Ooh.
Yeah, all the 5s.
All the 5s. 5.5. Okay.
5.5 pieces of poopy pecan pie.
I find this... Okay, I'm going to tell the story once again because I always end up telling it, and it always involves these early episodes of Enterprise. I think this one is... Yes, it is. So I used to have a VHS tape, long play VHS tape, that when I had insomnia, I used to put it on there, and it used to, pretty much get me to sleep right about this episode. And it had, the first 8 episodes of Star Trek Enterprise. So by this point, I was thoroughly wooed to sleep. This was kind of a dull episode. Not a lot happens. There's some stuff with the ice stuff. The trailer kind of encapsulates my opinion on it as like they didn't really have enough to put out a gripping episode trailer, so they just showed an explosion and Mayweather falling down a hill. The Vulcan stuff was possibly the only redeeming arc, but Archer was being very needlessly pissy with them. He knows what they're like. He's worked with Vulcans for many years. He knows how blunt they're going to be. But also Archer's just being Archer and being as blunt as he's going to be. And throwing Trip under the bus as well. Just saying like, we need to encrypt it. Oh, you did? Sucks to be you. I ain't reading that. So yeah, I'm gonna go for a 4. There's some good parts in it, but I wasn't riveted by this episode the way that I have been. Just to talk about other Star Trek, other Enterprise episodes. I liked the Andorian incident, or even Strange New World. They had like plot arcs that weren't quite as this definitely felt like the filler that was filling out the universe, which is a good thing. It definitely filled out a lot more lines with T'Pol's relationships with Trip Tucker, with Archer's, and relationships with the Vulcans. But I felt like that could have been done in many other areas.
Too says Archer's having that attitude the week after giving away a secret Vulcan military base.
Yeah, so this is after the Andorian incident where he's just gone like, send it to the Andorians. Oh, I'm the victim. Which brings us to the conclusion, and this is a surprise. This is a straight 5. Our average is exactly 5. This is scientifically proven to be a complete middle-of-the-road Star Trek episode that you can put on and you will watch and experience some Star Trek. So, yes. On that note, if you're on the live stream, stick about. We're going to watch some TNG, a bit hide and Q, something with more stakes but more camp. So let's enjoy that. If you're on YouTube, we will see you soon in 2 weeks for some hide and Q. So thanks to all the guys here. We will see you later. Live long, prosper, and ta-ra!